I mean, all you have to do is look at the state law of several states in our country. They allow for abortion until the point of birth, and there are abortionists that will do that. Dr. Warren Hearn out of Boulder, Colorado, just retired. He was known for going right up until the point of birth, full-term abortion. Santangelo in Washington, D.C., who would have done Maria's abortion. And then when she was on her way to the abortion facility in Kansas, this woman called her every single hour that she was headed to her abortion appointment. And she was as sweet as Texas pie. My question is this choice? Is this freedom? If abortion supporters are really about choice, what about funding her trip there? Then if she changes her mind, ensuring that she has the means to get back home. If they're really all about choice, I would think that some of that legitimately should continue no matter what she chooses. Well, howdy, everyone. It's your friend Laura Musica, attorney and human rights advocate and president CEO of Sidewalk Advocates for Life, the nation's largest peaceful sidewalk outreach organization. And this is the Lauren Musica Show, your favorite update in the battle for life, family, and freedom. So excited once again to have you hanging out with me. So I was going to move on this week to another interview, maybe even another topic. But there was something that pulled me back to reflect on the last two episodes of this season. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you haven't yet gotten a chance to listen to the last two episodes of the Laura Musica Show, I'm talking about my two-part conversation with a Texas mom, Maria, who recently canceled a fully funded late-term abortion appointment, first in Kansas and then Washington, D.C., and courageously chose life. After finding herself unexpectedly pregnant, already 6 months into her pregnancy, and I know many of you are probably going, how do you not know you're pregnant? But she was over 40. She thought maybe she was going through an early menopause. I mean, this happens to women, right? Maybe their cycles are not regular. So she finds herself 6 months pregnant. She's scared and overwhelmed. She's a single mom. She has 2 teenage kids, right? And they are living paycheck to paycheck. Then she considered abortion. It was the Bridget Alliance, one of the top post-Roe pro-abortion funding groups that professedly offers fully funded abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy, who offered Maria a fully paid trip to Kansas first for an abortion. However, when Maria got to Kansas, she was too far along. She exceeded the state gestational limit for abortion. And so the Bridget Alliance offered her another fully paid for trip to Washington, D.C. to abort her son at 26 weeks. Days before, she courageously chose to cancel her appointment and chose life. Now, if you, again, have listened to this testimony the last couple of weeks, amazing. The Bridget Alliance did not give up. They tried to reach her relentlessly. They called her, they texted her many times well into the evening. She had to block 2 phone numbers to get them to stop. They were desperately, for some reason, trying to get her to reschedule. And of course, we pontificated about why that may be the case. Do they get a kickback? Are they looking for baby body parts, right? Because there is a trafficking market, so to speak, for fetal body parts. Maybe, again, some of these folks are bloodthirsty. Who knows? But my goodness, they worked so hard, Maria said, to try to get her to reschedule, even saying, oh, hey, you can come back and you can get a late-term abortion still in D.C. Keep us posted, right? But Maria stayed strong. In mid-June, she gave birth to a healthy baby boy, Jesus. Praise God, right? And as I reflected on the power of this testimony and story, one that I literally lived in part myself. I was privileged to journey with Maria and to help her to choose life. There were a few key moments that I really want to pull out, that I want to extract for everyone and talk about them just a little bit more, because they dispel myths about abortion in the United States, abortion tourism in the modern post-Roe v. Wade era, and they really make people think and face the reality of just what this is. I'm not only going to highlight what stood out to me, but include clips from Maria's testimony itself the last couple weeks. Still, I have to say, nothing replaces the actual experience of listening to her full testimony. So if you have an hour, go back a couple weeks and listen to part one. It is so worth your time. Again, about an hour and 11 minutes, so worth your time. And if you have just 35 more minutes, then you can go listen to part two. I am telling everybody that if you never share, episodes of the Laura Musica show, at least consider sharing these two episodes because they are so powerful. I'm getting so many messages from people who just couldn't believe what they were listening to. So let me go ahead and highlight a few key takeaways. And again, if you haven't listened to those episodes, no worries. You're still going to get the main points that I want to drive home here today. All right, number one, elective late-term abortion exists in America, and it's fully funded as needed. This is not just on babies with a prenatal diagnosis, even though that's heinous too, right? We want to get parents resources and have them cherish their special needs children and have time with them before maybe the Lord calls them home. So again, I'm not excusing that either, but I'm just saying, like, the option for whatever reason to choose late-term abortion, it exists in America and you can get it fully paid for. When we released a preview of Maria's podcast a few weeks ago, so we put this clip on TikTok went absolutely nuts. They lost their minds. They claimed, you have to go on the Sidewalk Advocates for Life TikTok page, by the way, and go see this for yourself. They literally claimed that we were lying about her abilities to secure a fully funded elective late-term abortion, and the fact that the abortion fund, when she canceled, told her, oh, hey, by the way, you can reschedule at full term in Washington, D.C. So let me go ahead and play that clip for you.
She was like, let me go ahead and schedule you for a clinic in Kansas, which is closer to where you live. And I was like, but I've never been outside of Texas, I was so scared. And I remember she sent me $200. She was like, are you struggling with anything right now? And I said, well, I don't have no money. I only have $50 in my bank account. I remember, she said, can I sell you some money for whatever you need? They do the ultrasound. And I remember the nurse, she stayed out of the room for like 30 minutes. I was so anxious to get it done already. I was like, what is taking them forever? Come on. They go out. 2 doctors come in the room. One of them was actually pregnant. I remember her so well. She was, I want to say she was like 8 months pregnant already. And she was like, I'm sorry, sweetie, but we can't do the abortion because you're too far out. One of the doctors was like, you know what? I'm from Chicago. She's like, but I come here, every other month just to help out. She said, Chicago offers full-term abortions. She said, I can do it in my clinic.
Wow.
I was like, let me see how far Chicago is.
Right. And did they tell you at that time how far along you were?
She did. She was like, you're over 24 weeks.
You're over 20. You're past 24 weeks, and they couldn't do it because
they couldn't do
the
it.
state limit was lower.
She offers me one in Chicago.
Wow.
But I was like, no, let me call my counselor first. The next morning, I get up to come back to Texas, and I get a phone call from her. And she was like, Maria, guess what? I said, what? She said, I have great news for you. She gives me a number to call that clinic in Washington, D.C. And they were like, well, the abortion here is over $20,000. I was like, no, there's no way, no.
So an abortion that late term.
Yeah, it's $20,000.
They told you $20,000.
She's
wow.
like, because it's a whole different procedure, it's a full baby already.
Yeah.
She was like, Washington does full term, which at that time I didn't know what full term was. And I remember I asked you, I said, well, how does the full term abortion work? And you told me, well, they, basically it's a whole baby that they pull out.
Folks, this is real. The United States is on par with a handful of countries in the world, like China and North Korea, who do abortions this late into pregnancy. I mean, all you have to do is look at the state law of several states in our country. They allow for abortion until the point of birth, and there are abortionists that will do that. Dr. Warren Hearn out of Boulder, Colorado, just retired. He was known for going right up until the point of birth, full-term abortion. Santangelo in Washington, D.C., who would have done Maria's abortion. Yep, he does them. This is a thing. Maria proved it. She scheduled it. She was told by the abortion fund, we do this. Let's get our minds around this barbarism and demand change. All right, number 2. I'm going to say something pretty audacious here, but I am absolutely willing to stand by it. And you'll see why here in just a second. The abortion industry is essentially paying women to have abortions. I'm going to say that again. The abortion industry is essentially paying, maybe even bribing women, especially low-income women, to have abortions. I want you to listen to Maria talk about just how much money was dumped into her account when she signed up for an abortion. About $2,000 before she ever got to her first abortion appointment. This is a lot of money. Then she had a revelation that the reason this was happening was because abortion must be a big business. Let's go ahead and listen to that.
I had this lady, that offered me everything. And I knew if I went to Washington, I was going to get more money out of it. She was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, I'm very scared. She was like, "You know what? Let me send you $300 more." She's like, "Don't feel like you have to pay the $20,000. She's like, "We'll help you out." She's like, "There's a lot of organizations out there that are willing to help you." She's like, and we will pay everything again. We will pay for your flight. We will pay for your hotel. We'll pay for daycare money. We'll pay for your kids' meals, your meals. And, any extra money that you need, we'll have it covered for you. And I knew if I went to Washington, I was going to get more money out of it. Because from Kansas, I already got over almost $2,000. So I was like, if I go to Washington, they're going to go
Give you
up
a
on
lot
the
more.
money. Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, what else do I want?
So one of our attorneys, Martin Cannon of Thomas More Society, said to me, there's a very good chance that if Maria's son had been aborted at 26 weeks at that Washington, D.C. abortion facility, they would have trafficked his organs. I don't know if many of you have heard of the DC-5, these fully formed babies that were aborted in violent and gruesome ways at the very end of pregnancy at the hands of Santangelo in Washington, D.C., this abortion facility on DuPont Circle. You can look up who these 5 precious children were and how they were found. But just beware, you're going to get some graphic pictures of these aborted babies, right? This is real. This is real. Thank God Maria dodged all of that. All right, number 3. Abortion funds are relentlessly working to get women to complete the abortion to pad their bottom line. One of the things that absolutely blew my mind was that Maria was assigned, once she scheduled the abortion through this abortion fund, she was assigned a guide. Maybe you could call this woman a counselor who called and checked on her every day. And then when she was on her way to the abortion facility in Kansas, this woman called her every single hour that she was headed to her abortion appointment. And she was as sweet as Texas pie, right? And we were even reflecting a little bit later in one of the episodes that this is how the enemy works. He comes in and it's like, gosh, this is everything I ever wanted. This is like Christmas and I'm getting so much money and God is even answering my prayers. And it's crazy how we can kind of twist things and not even realize what we've walked into, right? And wow, we wake up one day and we realize what we were a part of. But let's go ahead and listen to what that relationship was like and how hard they worked to get women to complete, how hard they worked to get Maria to complete the abortion.
She told me to see her as my counselor, as my friend. Whenever I felt bad or was having a bad day, I could always reach out to her. So she became very close to me. I would call her at the middle of the night and telling her, please don't forget about me. Please don't forget, that you have me on the list for the abortion. And she was like, no, we have everything ready.
Do you know if she was with Planned Parenthood or was she with the Bridget Alliance?
She was with the Bridget Alliance.
Okay,
Yes.
so they had someone designated
Yes.
with this abortion fund to be
Yes.
your guide through the entire
They have
journey.
a person, that's going to stay with you throughout the whole process.
Interesting.
You
Yeah.
have their number. You can text them at any time of the day. You can call them even on the weekends. The whole 10 hours, I was crying. And, she kept calling me every hour to check up on me, see how I was doing.
Really?
Yeah.
She's calling you every
She was so
hour.
nice. Like I said, she was so nice at that time, because she was the only one that knew that everything that I was going through, and she wasn't judging me at all.
Okay, so again, what's the motivation here? Why would somebody do that? You could say that maybe she did care. Maybe that's true to an extent. You hear this from former abortion workers that many of them have walked through an abortion experience and, they're motivated to help out Planned Parenthood or work in some way in the abortion industry. I don't want to discount that. That's just real, right? But the motivation to call every single hour as they're getting ready to dump more and more money into Maria's bank account. I mean, wow, right? Now, here's the thing. We haven't yet here at Sidewalk Advocates for Life figured out how, if, funding works as far as what the abortionist and abortion fund get. We know that with every completed abortion, the abortionist gets a lot of money. His staff gets money. And there's even a question here. Does the abortion fund financially benefit, or are they just trying to hit certain quotas so that they can report back to donors? Because many of these are set up as 501c3s, right? A friend of mine, an attorney, Mike Seibel, I actually interviewed him a handful of weeks ago about the Planned Parenthood baby body part scandal and beyond, also with other entities. He practices in New Mexico, and he has it on good word that the abortionist and possibly even the abortion fund receives a big kickback. So get your minds around that. Okay, last point that I want to pull out here. Women who get a fully funded abortion through one of these abortion funds feel relentless pressure to follow through, even if they want to change their minds, say at the abortion facility. So I want you to listen to the pressure that Maria felt to follow through with the abortion simply because of the amount of money they gave her. And then when she had spent a lot of that money, she was scared to cancel her appointment and choose life for her son because she's like, how am I going to pay back like $700 that I've already spent? Are there legal repercussions? And thankfully, she was strong enough to sort through that. Let's go ahead and play that right now.
They don't ask you much. They just, can I sell you the money? I mean, it's that easy to get the money out. Yeah. It's really that easy.
And if you play your cards right, you can actually make money.
Yes, you can make money out of it.
You make money off of the abortion.
They don't tell you that you don't have to pay that money back. They leave that on the back of your head where if I don't do it, something's going to happen to me, all that pressure, that they put on you, and then at some point, talking to you like if they were your best friend, like it's okay. We're here for you.
Okay. So guys, my question is, in this scenario, just listening to Maria's story, and she met other women in Kansas who were in her situation, fully funded abortions, low-income women, right? My question is this choice? Is this freedom? If abortion supporters are really about choice, what about funding her trip there? Then if she changes her mind, ensuring that she has the means to get back home, what does financial support look like after that, right? If they're really all about choice, I would think that some of that legitimately should continue no matter what she chooses. I mean, this was a woman who did not make very much money. She describes herself as low income, living paycheck to paycheck. They're helping her with food. They're helping her with support, right? What I keep thinking is, how much more do we as a people of God, as a people of life, need to be there for these women, no matter what? Can we be the countersign when a woman is ready to change her mind? Again, I'm going to say the same thing that I said last episode because it's so worth repeating. I want to encourage everyone. And, I don't always do this on the podcast. It wasn't until the last episode or two that I actually brought up this opportunity. But I believe it's so providential at this point in history with where we are as a ministry, 282 sidewalk teams, and recognizing that 1 in 5 women are traveling across state lines to the next nearest abortion facility. I want to invite you to consider giving of your precious treasure to help moms like Maria. We were so inspired here at Sidewalk Advocates for Life by Maria's story. And again, I lived part of this myself, right? I got to journey with her. I got to see the emails, see how the funding worked from the pro-abortion groups, see the pressure, see what moms deal with. We were just so inspired by the story that we thought, gosh, you know what? We need to do a little bit more. We need to up our game. And we're missing something so desperately needed in the post Roe versus Wade landscape. And that is the nation's first rapid response pro-life fund to counter abortion travel funding and abortion tourism. It's something that we felt called to form, and we're calling it because many of these pro-abortion funds are named after women. You have the Bridget Alliance, which unbelievably is named after Saint Bridget of Ireland, a Catholic saint. That's a whole other story. You'll have to look that up. Oh my gracious, the audacity of that. But we're going to call our pro-life fund Maria's Fund, inspired by Maria herself. This new fund will help cover a mother's basic needs, a bridge of support to travel back home while she gets set up with one of our pregnancy center partners, because the abortion group will drop mom if she considers choosing life after she's traveled across state lines for an abortion, leaving her stranded and totally without emotional or material support. Again, so much for choice. You can go to sidewalkadvocates.org/donate to give to this brand new groundbreaking initiative. And if you give within the next couple of weeks, generous ministry partners are going to match and instantly double your gift. So everything given at sidewalkadvocates.org/donate will be instantly doubled. And if you sign up for a monthly gift, what we'll do is we'll annualize that. We'll multiply it times 12, and we will double it and bring it off of the total as we head towards a really big goal. By the way, if you sign up for $30 or more, you'll get a special array of tools, a gift in the mail to spread the mission. You're going to love some of the Sidewalk Advocates for Life goodies that show up at your doorstep. So again, sidewalkadvocates.org/donate to give a special one-time gift or to sign up for a monthly gift of support to help moms 24/7, 365 days a year. We want to help more Marias find help and hope. So please help us to be the hands and feet of Jesus to these moms in post-Roe America who are in a really precarious position, even more so than what we normally see on the sidewalk. Let's help them. Let's get them a bridge of support, help encourage them to make a decision for life. And then they can get set up back home with their local pregnancy resource center. So still crisis intervention over here on the sidewalk, delivering them into the arms of those who can do the ongoing crisis management. So powerful. Thank you for considering that. Really appreciate you. All right. And thank you again for hanging out with me, for joining me for another episode of the Laura Musica Show. We'll be back here next Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central on the Sidewalk Advocates for Life Facebook page, YouTube channel, or wherever you get podcasts. Thanks so much, everybody.